Quiet Room. I've always loved the movies. As a film fan, my attention would instantly snap to the TV when I caught a commercial for an upcoming movie. Most of the mindless, overproduced garbage Hollywood turns out is pretty forgettable, so whenever I discovered an indie film with a relatively fresh concept, I was excited to see something different. Recently, I caught a commercial for an upcoming limited release thriller called Quiet Room, which I found pretty intriguing, and the story features a serial killer with a twisted sense of morality, who picks his victims based on what he feels they add or detract from society, and his killing methods reflect how they've hurt others around him. I've only seen 2 different TV spots for this movie. Both were pretty similar, with just slightly different narration and video. However, one night while watching SportsCenter, I saw a new TV spot for Quiet Room that I'd never seen before, and I found it to be absolutely chilling. It opened with the title and white text on a black background, which is displayed for about 5 seconds. That led to the second screen of similar text, which simply said, "I'm coming," centered on the screen. The text was accompanied by the sound of several people quietly sobbing. Upon looking closer, I could make out about 6 dark silhouettes of people in the background. There were no film clips in the spot, nor was there a coming soon to theaters message. I found this to be pretty unsettling, but probably a viral market tactic, so I watched some cartoons to settle my mind so I could go to sleep. The next day, I ran into my friend Jeff, and we decided to have lunch together. Our conversation eventually led to this bizarre and creepy commercial I saw during SportsCenter. I was shocked to hear that Jeff had also been watching SportsCenter last night, but didn't see the same commercial. Instead, he saw one of the original TV spots. I protested and described it in detail, but he had no clue what I was talking about. Naturally, this led me a little rattled regarding what I saw, but a few days elapsed and I found myself settling back into my normal routine, which included my daily SportsCenter fix. The disturbing commercial had nearly escaped my mind before I saw it again. It seemed the same as before. However, everything seemed to be intensified. The wailing was louder and the dark figures were easily recognizable this time. After collecting my thoughts for a few moments, I quickly called Jeff to ask if he had seen this time. But again he replied no and hung up, probably thinking I was just being a prankster. My mind started to lose focus and I began to doubt what I saw and heard. I went to the kitchen and made myself a snack, watched some more cartoons in the living room to help ease my mind, which didn't really help this time, and I decided it was time to try to get some sleep. I made my way to my bedroom and it was strangely able to find sleep quite easily. In the middle of the night, I woke up from my sleep. I swore I heard something odd, but couldn't make it out. The unsettling thoughts of Quiet Room came rushing back into my brain, instantly putting me on the edge. I settled down and tried pinpointing the noise, thinking it was all in my head. It seemed to be the sound of intense wailing, exactly as I heard it through the TV. Intense panic set in as I pulled the blankets over my head, an attempt to muffle the noise, but only grew louder. The sadness of these beings saturated my mind as I tried to block out these horrible voices. I noticed a shadow pass across my blanket, but I was too afraid to pull back the sheets to see if it was just a bird flying in my window or something sinister lurking inside my room. Suddenly, I felt something cold touch my toes from beneath the blanket, and I curled up in the fetal position in my bed, trembling with fear. A few moments passed before the blanket is ripped off of my grasp, and I could see that what has entered my room. This image of a thick black figure stood on the side of my bed. There was no ears, nose, or eyes on its head. A wide, grinning mouth was its only defining feature. The urge to scream filled my mind, but nothing escaped my mouth. The creature seemed to soak up the terror I'd become saturated with before it cocks its head gently to the side and thrusts a sharp, piercing claw into my chest. I managed to catch one last glimpse of the creature standing over me as I utterly satisfied before everything went silent and black. I woke up lying on the floor. I didn't know how much time had passed. but it was still obviously pitch black outside. I grasped my chest where I was attacked by the creature, and I found no wound, no blood. Normally, I would give a sigh of relief since I realized it was simply a nightmare, and I fell out of my bed, but all I could feel was dread and intense sadness, the type of heartache you feel the moment you discover a loved one has died. I picked myself up, stumbled to the light switch, but I couldn't find it. The only light coming from was the window. As I examined it, it was far larger than normal and looked otherwise abnormal. As I approached it, I could see words written in reverse. It said, "Jimak me." Terror filled my mind as I realized what had happened. As my eyes adjusted to the dark, I turned around to see 6 dark figures circled around me, crying intensely. The sense of sadness I initially felt increased exponentially, and I too began to cry uncontrollably. The light from the window was the only comfort in this horrible place, so I had made my way towards the window so I could look out. The only thing I could see was my friend Jeff, sitting on his couch, watching us.